Hello, my name's Elsie Anakwe. I'm a solicitor and a parenting coach. I'm going to be talking about bedtime routine, how to ensure good bedtime routine. No matter how efficient, well prepared one is as a parent, you find sometimes that your children's bedtime routines are not always on track. So I'm going to share some tips to help with establishing good bedtime routines. As we know, sleep is vital for many reasons. It's very good for one's overall health. The body actually undergoes repair. It goes through a repair process during sleep. In fact, a friend described it as roadworks at night when there's, little or no traffic. On the roads. Sleep deprivation puts one at risk of developing various complications, various medical conditions such as high blood pressure, diabetes, stroke, heart disease, and so many, other ailments that can occur as a result of lack of sleep. We should never ever underestimate the power of a good night's sleep, the power of, having sufficient rest. And this goes to not just the children, but us as parents, as adults as well. Lack of sleep, as we know, it means poor concentration, fatigue, and you're less proactive and less productive during the day if you don't have enough sleep. And with respect to children as well, it could cause poor performance at school and inappropriate behavior where a child has not had sufficient sleep. So, getting children or young people to go to bed at the same time every night benefits the whole family. It actually ensures that not only that your child gets sufficient sleep that they need, it also helps you or helps them when they wake up in the morning. When I say you, I'm referring to you waking them up in the morning when they've had enough sleep the night before. It goes a long way towards helping to get them up in the mornings. So it also enables the adults and parents to have child-free evenings. So when they go to bed early, then you as the parent or the adult can do what you want to do. Most people live busy lives, so often it doesn't actually happen, as in the bedtime routines. We have all the will in the world. We, want to have this so-called perfect or, wonderful bedtime routine, but, it does, sometimes it's difficult to keep on track. And sometimes there are factors such as, ill health or after-school activities or not planning homework, and even holiday, which prevents us from sticking to the routine. So the starting point, I would say, is that, if you want to have a good bedtime routine, you have to want to do it. You have to also be intentional. It's pointless if you're half-heartedly doing it, because if that's the case, any routine you put in place will be short-lived. It's not going to work. So firstly, I would say decide on the time for bed. The younger children will obviously need help, and you have to you decide on the time. So say, for instance, you say 8 p.m. bedtime. I would say ensure that your 8 is 8. 8 p.m. should be 8 p.m. 8 p.m. should not be 8:15, 8:30, quarter to 9. You need to ensure that the child is in bed by that time that you've set. So again, it's part of, the routine. So the child as well is getting used to the routine, knowing that, this is the time when they should be in bed. So what do you need to do to ensure that you actually meet that deadline? So for instance, the 8 p.m. Yeah, we're sticking to the 8 p.m. You can start an hour before in preparing to ensure that you meet the 8 p.m. deadline. Meals, ensure that they have their meals way before 8 p.m. If 8 p.m. is the deadline, if they have homework, they need to start early to make sure that they finishes on time. If they're allowed to play before bedtime, then they should start winding down the playing, maybe 7:30 or so. Again, if they if they need to have, a bath or shower before they sleep, there's no point starting at 7:30 because you're not going to meet the 8 p.m. deadline. So things like that, the routines, if there are things that happened before they go to bed, it's important that you factor those things in and ensure that you allow enough time, for those things to happen before the deadline you've set. So in this case, I'm using 8 p.m. The same goes with story time, bedtime stories. There's no point, it's good to get the child in bed by 8. You can decide to start, the bedtime story 15 minutes early if it's going to take you 15 minutes to read. The same with prayers. If you pray before bedtime, if it takes you 15 minutes or half an hour, again, do all those things before the time. So it's important when you say 8 p.m. that the child is actually in bed at 8 p.m. We know that they're not going to sleep off, but obviously it's better for them to know that 8 p.m. bedtime means they need to be in bed at 8. It's also very important, don't allow them to make excuses, and you shouldn't make excuses for them. You need to be firm. So we know children, often when you put them to bed, they'll think of various excuses just to get out of bed. Don't allow them to get out of bed. If they need help, they need anything, it's best that you go to them, because as we know, if they get out of bed, it's going to be difficult to get them back in. So, and again, if you're starting, routine for the first time, it's good to be consistent and, be patient as well. You have to, there might be some teething problems initially, but just persevere. Don't give up. And finally, I'll talk about those that have great difficulties sleeping. You may, decide to, in fact, I think it's a good idea, not me. I would suggest that you try using a diary and keep a record of the child's sleeping patterns, and, also check and see if there are any distractions that could be preventing the child from sleeping. In terms of distractions, even for the children that don't have difficulty sleeping, it's very important to avoid any kind of distraction. So in their bedrooms, if they've got televisions, make sure they're switched off. Gadgets are also switched off. With gadgets, I would even advise removing them from the room to avoid the temptation of them, going to use them once you leave the room. So you may think they're fast asleep, but they're there, they're busy on the gadgets doing all sorts. And again, if you notice a pattern and the child is really having difficulties sleeping, then I would suggest that you seek professional help. Thank you so much for watching. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please leave a message. You can share this video as well. You can join our Facebook group, The Anakwe Way, and you can also find us on Twitter, The Anakwe Way. You can check out our website, is www.anakwewaycoach.com. Bye-bye. Thank you.